Peoples, what is going on? I am Finesse, and today is going to be the official first ride of my brand new 2025 Indian Motorcycle Challenger with the Power Plus 112. To this point, I haven't ridden it anywhere other than from the dealership to the trailer. And I'll show you guys right here. It is showing 9 miles on the odometer. So this is going to be our very first trip out, and I'm taking you guys with me. All right, let's get it. All right, everybody, so that was my first ride on this bike. I put a few miles on it just from my house here to the parking lot at the Pooler Recreation Center. Now, I was kind of hesitant about this blue when I first seen it, but when Mrs. Finesse rode it in Daytona, you know, I had a better chance to look at it, get to see it in person, and I really like this blue. It's just a gorgeous blue. And riding this bike is just it's just reigniting all of those feelings I had when I first got into the Indian Motorcycle brand with my 2021 Indian Challenger Dark Horse. That bike was in the matte black. That bike started the channel. And here we are 3 years later, and I'm back on a Challenger. Enough of that. We have to get back to the Indian Motorcycle dealership because today is demo day here at the Indian Motorcycle dealership. They've got all the new bikes out here. They got the Sport Chief ST, they got the Challenger, the Roadmaster, the Chieftain, and the Pursuit and the 112 variant. They also have, I believe they do have some 108s. They also have some 116s. So basically anything that Indian Motorcycle is offering, you can come to these demo days and test them out, just like you can at some of the rallies. So if you're not able to make it to those rallies, like Daytona, Sturgis, or those other things, you know, you can come to your local dealership and get to check out one of these bikes. So like I was saying earlier, I got to pick up some things. When I purchased my motorcycle, Indian Motorcycle has a promotion for service members, first responders. I believe it's called Honoring Heroes. They give you a $200 coupon, so to speak, or credit that you can use here at the dealership, and that's what I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to be cashing in my $200. So we also may be able to give out some gold cards today. So once we get around, or once we get inside and see if anybody is going to be purchasing a bike, we'll see who we can talk to. All right, so like I was saying, we're gonna come inside, see if anybody's purchasing a new bike. Of course, somebody's purchasing a new bike. And I have right here, this is... Jason, all right, where are you out of?
Guyton, Georgia.
Guyton, Georgia, okay, you're right here. All right, yeah, I'm in Guyton myself. All right, so, and what'd you pick up today?
Scout Bobber.
Scout Bobber, all right.
25.
Nice, and what were you previously on?
First one.
Oh, this is your first one.
Yes.
Nice, that is all right. And you came down here, huh? What were your other choices?
I've always been looking at the Indians.
Yeah, okay.
Harley, you buy a name.
Yeah.
I just wanted to go with an Indian.
Nice, well, that's good stuff, man. Well, so congratulations on your first bike. And with that, you're also gonna have a $500 gift card here from me as an Indian ambassador. That'll take some of the taxes off of what you have. Welcome to the Indian Motorcycle family.
Appreciate it.
You're gonna love that Scout, man.
I hope so.
Yeah. All right, for 2025, there were not a lot of changes with the Indian Motorcycle Challenger. And when we come across those changes, I'll point those out to you. But just as we do on this channel, we're going to start from the front, work our way to the back. So right up front, you're going to have a 19-inch wheel, and you're going to have dual disc Brembo brakes on there for some great stopping power. Up front, you're going to have the LED headdress for Indian Motorcycle. So this is the more modern version of the headdress as opposed to the traditionally styled headdress you find on the Chieftains. And this headdress does light up when you power on the bike. And keeping with the Challenger, you do have your inverted front forks as well. And then again, looking at the fairing, there were no changes to it. It still looks the same as it did in previous years. But you're going to notice here on the headlight, this is not the standard headlight that comes on the Challenger. I have opted for the Indian Motorcycle adaptive headlight. This is in the black version. They also make a chrome version. So the adaptive headlight is just basically, it's a lean sensitive headlight. I'm sure you've probably seen those on other bikes, other manufacturers. All right, now looking at the fairing, you still have your intakes. Of course, you have your automatic windshield, and this windshield is not the stock windshield. This is the flared tinted windshield, but this is also from Indian Motorcycle. And it does a great job at deflecting the air and keeping that off of your head, whether you're either in the lowered position or it's in the raised position. All right, now when we're looking at the back side of the fairing, all right, you're gonna see the inner fairing, the majority of the inner fairing is painted, except for this top console. This top console is still in the matte black finish. So, you know, that's gonna keep some of that glare off of your face. But not to say that there's a lot of glare. I mean, it's at that angle where, you know, it's not really going to be too much in your face anyways, even if it was. So, but either way, that's the only flat black piece that's on this inner fairing. And then, of course, you're going to have your speedometer and your tachometer, as well as some LED screens on those. And they're going to give you various information, such as fuel levels, range, and a few other different things that you can select to put on that screen. All right, now, below that, you're gonna have your traditional 7-inch ride command screen. You've got physical buttons as well as buttons on the screen, okay? So, you know, you're gonna have a few different ways of manipulating the ride command system that's easy for you, or whether either you're riding or you're sitting still, all right? Now, on my particular Challenger, I do have the Powerband audio upgrade. So you'll see these speakers up here. So it comes with 4 speakers. Each of those speakers is 100 watts for 400 watts. And the bezels, they do have a black trim around them. They used to be on the Dark Horse that, you know, you even had the chrome trim around that. So they've added a few more blacked out pieces to really get into that Dark Horse feel. All right, when we are looking at the bars on this bike, these are not the stock bars that come on this bike. The stock bars that come on this bike are a little bit lower and a little bit wider, but they do look good. Like when you're just looking at the bike, they look good. However, for me, at 5'9", I needed my arms up a little bit more. So, you know, I went with the Tab Performance Folsom Prison Plus 8s. And they get the bars, you know, where I need them to be. They're closer to me, as well as being a little bit higher up. Also, when you're looking at your hand controls, nothing has changed from the hand controls. This is all carryover. So everything, you know, is going to be familiar to you. However, when you're looking at the rear view mirrors, you're going to see that on the inside, they have this little LED light. And that's going to be part of the safety systems for 2025. That is new for this motorcycle, and we'll get into that. I'll cover that all in one, so we'll get back to that later. But these rear view mirrors do have a different shape, a different profile as they did to the previous versions. I think these look a bit more modern. They look like they're not the standard lights. They do look different, so I do like the way these lights look. And you're also going to notice on these hand controls, I do have the black clutch and brake lever. This is also an upgrade, which you can get through Indian Motorcycle, that I put on here, or, you know, basically it was carryover from my Pursuit, okay? Now, when we're looking, coming back to the inner fairing, on the bottom right here, you're going to see that there is a trickle charger. This is also a carryover. This is something that Indian Motorcycle has been doing since 2020. So you don't have that ugly pigtail sticking out of your bike there that you got to plug into. You have a nice, neat, badged plug-in for your battery tender. And on either side of the fairing, you have some pockets. These are some good sized pockets. It is a latch release, so you have to press it to get it to open. And they do have some weatherproofing on them. Now, in my entire time owning a Challenger or a Pursuit, I have yet to have any kind of water get in there, either while I'm washing the bike or riding the bike. So it does a good job at sealing. Now, on the right-hand side, you're going to have your lock and unlock button underneath that pocket, as well as your button for your fuel release. So that's you press that button and it's gonna open the fuel cap, or it's gonna unlock the fuel cap, and then you press the button to open it. On the other side of that, if your bike is equipped, you're gonna have your controls for your heated grips. The Challenger does not come with the heated grips as an OEM. That's an upgrade, but the space for your button is there. Also, when you're looking at the center console, I did do an upgrade and I put this Indian Motorcycle badge here. Basically, all that does is just cover up this nut that's up underneath it. Looking at the fuel tank, this is again just the carryover from the previous models. These tanks hold 6 gallons of fuel, and if you're looking at traditional type motorcycles, or if you're coming off of another brand of a motorcycle, you are going to find that this tank is a lot longer, or at least it looks as if it's a lot longer than what you would find on a bike. But with the design of it, it's still comfortable because your legs are not so far apart. Your legs are a little closer together just because of that profile. All right, so if you look just below the fuel tank, you are gonna see what all the hype is for Indian Motorcycle for 2025. You're gonna see the Power Plus 112. This is a carryover from the King of the Baggers series, where Indian Motorcycle has a race bike that runs the 112 engine. So now us as consumers get a chance to get a obviously different version of the 112, but nonetheless it is giving us 4 more horsepower than the Power Plus 108. And while you might be thinking to yourself, well, that's not really a lot of, that's not a lot, it's only 4 horsepower. But when you're talking about a motorcycle, the smallest things make the largest differences. You can get to one side or the other on the bike and it's gonna, you're gonna make it turn. So 4 more horsepower, it just feels really, really good. The power comes on great. You can twist the throttle, and it's almost in every gear. So very, very great platform. If you get the chance to ride one of these, you should definitely do it. It is an experience. Also, for the Challenger Dark Horse, you do get the engine guards. On here, I have the Infinite Highway pegs. Obviously, that's an upgrade, but that is also through Indian Motorcycle. These are some fantastic highway pegs. I don't ever have to worry about them falling down or anything like that. If I put them down, they're down. If I put them up, they're up. All right. I've had 0 issues with those. I love these pegs. Of course, you're going to have your brake here on the right. Now, it is a peg style brake as opposed to the Pursuit, which would have a pad there. But you get the brake here. I've had both. Other than aesthetics, they still work the same. So it just kind of depends on what you want, how you want it to look. All right. Of course, you get more blacked out engine treatment. You get your blacked out exhaust. This is the stock exhaust. However, I do have some plans to upgrade this exhaust, and of course, I'll keep you guys in the loop on that. Before I get too far, up front here in front of the engine, you're gonna have your radiator. This is a fully liquid cooled engine. And then just below your radiator, you're gonna have your access to your battery, all right? So there's a cover there, you take out the 2 screws. Right behind that, you're gonna see where the battery is kept. And there are some accessible terminals there. So in the event that you need to jump it, or whatever the case may be, or if you have that style of tender, if you're going to be storing it away for the winter, that kind of thing, if you want the terminal access, you can just do that as well, and you don't have to put anything up here. So you have options. Moving a little further back, you have a removable cover here, and then you also have a body panel below it. The underneath this panel is basically the access to your speaker wiring, as well as your tail light wiring and those things. You have those connections up under there. Here you're going to have 2 ports. Those ports are for the rear saddlebag guards, which I will be doing. So I'll keep you guys updated on that. And then back here we have the, I call them the new style or the square styled saddlebags, as opposed to what Indian Motorcycle was doing previous to this, where they were a bit more rounded. But again, you've got the speakers here, you got the black trim, and something else that I forgot to note about these speakers: at night when the system is on, there is a glow up underneath it. That's how you know that they are the upgraded power band audio speakers. They'll have that glow, it's like a soft glow behind the tweeter. Really cool looking, especially going down the road. All right, of course you have your lockable saddlebags, either on the bike with the key or with the remote. And when you open them up, they don't open as wide as they used to. They used to come out a little bit further, but these sit up a little bit more vertical. Looking inside, you got a pretty good amount of space. You can keep quite a few things in there. Also here along the edge, you're gonna see that there is some weather stripping to protect your whatever you have on the inside. You are limited to about 22 pounds of cargo in these saddlebags. I don't know that I've ever reached that mark, but you have the sticker there that says it. And then when it comes time to closing the saddlebags, they even put some information up here. But basically, you're going to close it. It's going to click once. That's the latch. Then you press it again, and that's going to completely secure whatever you have inside. Now, for the hinge on the outside, you have a nice Indian Motorcycle badged hinge. It even has a little bit of texture to it when you run your fingers across that Indian. Really nice there. Coming along the back, this is part of the safety systems, which we'll get into later, but you have some saddlebag lights there. Then, of course, you have your antenna for your radio. I personally don't use the radio, so I will either be removing this or just getting a shorter one. So moving around back, you have more of your safety systems features, as well as your bullet style tail lights. Of course, all the lighting on this bike is going to be LED. And right below that, of course, you've got your license plate holder. This seat is the stock Indian Motorcycle seat. I had the same seat on my 21 Challenger, and what I told myself was I was going to ride that for a year before I decided to change it. But after experiencing a few other different types of seats, a few other different types of bikes, I find that these seats from Indian Motorcycle are really, really comfortable. It doesn't take a lot to break them in, and they hold you in place very well, because you got a nice steep little step back here. Now, the only other thing that I may end up doing is probably getting something like change the stitching. But I really do like these seats, or I might get a heated and cooled seat through Indian Motorcycle. So we'll see how that goes. What is not standard is this rider backrest. This is what I had on my Pursuit. This is the Indian Motorcycle rider backrest. It is fantastic. If you're doing any kind of touring, any kind of day trips, long rides, whatever the case may be, a backrest is a fantastic option. Very good backrest. All right, so we've gone around the bike, and like I said, not a lot has changed for 2025. However, one of the biggest changes for Indian Motorcycle is the addition of the rider safety systems. All right, and those safety systems are going to be including the blind spot monitoring, the tailgate warning, the rear collision warning. You have electronic linked brakes. You have bike hold control. You also have a 6-axis Bosch IMU, and you also have lean sensitive ABS. All right, so I know those are a lot of words, but what all does that mean? It means that these rider systems are going to keep you safe. It's going to be like an extra eye kind of watching you on the road. All right. Now, for a lot of this, I went through on my video when I went to Vegas and test rode these bikes. We were talking about these safety systems, but after riding that bike, after me purchasing this one and having some seat time with those safety systems, it literally is like an extra eye or somebody just kind of watching out for you while you're out there on the road. So if you have something in your blind spot, obviously, like if it's on the right hand side, the right hand mirror is going to light up. It's going to be an orange or an amber light. And let's just say, you know, maybe you didn't pay attention to it and you put your turn signal on because you're going to be getting over. If there's still somebody in your blind spot, it's going to do a rapid blink as opposed to staying in a solid color. So it's going to help you, keep you alert as to, you know, vehicles around you. Not only that, you're going to have an icon that pops up on your screen on either the right side, the left side, or in the rear. So it's a fantastic system. It doesn't make any noise or anything like that, but it does give you a visual cue to give you just that extra awareness. All right, so a great system. So the electronically linked brakes, those two work very well. You know, it keeps that 70-30 balance, especially like if you're getting into like an emergency braking situation. You know, after you're riding for a while, you know, you're riding for years and years and years, and you get used to things, you get muscle memory. But for whatever reason, if your muscle memory is either incorrect or maybe you slipped up this time, you know, the system is going to help you out with that. And you can feel it either in your hand brake or your foot brake. You can feel the bike, you feel like a little vibration with the bike working. It's not intrusive. I mean, these systems just, there's really no other way to say it. The systems work really, really good, man. Oh my gosh. But one thing I will say, as far as the brake holds control, or the bike holds control, to engage it, you do a hard squeeze on either your front brake or your rear brake. You'll have an icon come up on the screen letting you know that it's active. It'll be a green H on the screens letting you know that it's active. And it'll hold the bike in place on an incline or on flat, whether you're in gear, whether you're in neutral, whatever the case. It'll hold the bike for up to 3 minutes. Now, when it comes time to release it, you can do it one of two ways. You can squeeze the brake, either the front or rear, and it will discontinue the hold, or you can just get on the throttle like you would, you know, normally taking off. Now, when it came to the Roadmaster that I was on, I felt like that bike was a bit, like it allowed you to be a little bit smoother with it. However, with the Challenger, it does grip a little bit. Maybe that's because of the weight difference, I'm not sure. But if you're doing a quick takeoff, then it's gonna immediately like release. Now, that could be because this is more of the sport focused type bike, whereas the Roadmasters and the Pursuits are more your touring style. So you may have a few different settings with those. I don't know. I forgot to ask the question when I was in Vegas, but to me, that would make sense if that's the case. So either way, that's just how those systems operate. They still work great. I still find myself using it, which I didn't think that I would. So good system there. So with all these safety systems that are incorporated into the bike, you do have control over them in the Ride Command system. So if you're in a large group, like a motorcycle club or a riding group, or you're at like one of these events or a parade or something, and you know that you're gonna have bikes all around you, maybe you don't want the system on or active at the time, so you can disable those, all right? And when it comes to the rear or the tailgate warning, you can also set the distance, kind of like adaptive cruise control, right? So you can set the distance at how close you want that warning to be, whether you want them, you know, you got to be close to, like really close to activated, or, you know, you can have a reasonable distance away. Now, I'm not exactly sure of the actual distance calculations. That's something that we'll have to look at. But I'm sure it's probably going to be 2 seconds to 3 second range in the distances, right? Because those are what we consider to be safe. So it's going to be something like that. Also, one of the things to note about the safety systems, as you can, as you've seen, I do have taller bars other than what's on standard. You have more than enough wire for your rear view mirrors in order to install taller bars or reduced reach bars if you so choose. Of course, that is going to be, within reason. If you want some bars, up above your head, it's probably going to cause an issue, okay? But within reason, you should have enough length in these wires to make sure that you can fit a different size bar on there if you so choose, all right? And as a side note, these little keepers on these wires, are fantastic. They do a really good job of holding the wires, and it's not like flopping around on you as you're riding, so you're not going to have any issue with that either. All right, so that was my overview/review of the 2025 Indian Motorcycle Challenger Dark Horse in the beautiful Springfield blue. Let me know what you guys think about the bike. Let me know what you think about the 112. Have you been on one? Have you ordered one? I need to know all the things, okay? All the things. So just like that, ride every day. And most importantly, make sure you're enjoying it. Peace.